Hello, y'all. So we've made it to this point of the spring semester where it's crunch time. You can see May if you're getting close to graduation, you can see graduation. And there's just a lot of folks, especially right now in the Finish Your Dissertation Institute, who are preparing to defend their final dissertations. But with this time of year, you might be feeling significantly burnt out and wondering how you're going to have the energy to keep moving forward when you're so close to the finish line. And that is what I want to talk about today. If this is your first time coming across me, I am Dr. Marvette Lacy. I help students just like you write their dissertations in 10 hours a week by following a very simple routine that helps you to get organized, helps you to put words on a page, and helps you to become a doctor by finishing your dissertation in 12 months or less. This weekend, we have the 10 pages in 2 days writing retreat coming up. And so if you haven't signed up, what you doing? Come join us. You will not want to miss it. I am going to show you how to write 10 pages in less than 10 hours following a very simple system. Okay, but get back to today's topic. I'm talking about burnout because I want to give you a name for what you might be experiencing or feeling right now. If you are on Instagram and you want to see me in a more full screen, come on over to YouTube. You can see that and you can still comment, but feel free to stay on Instagram. But burnout, right? So burnout is, it doesn't, we often, well, at least I used to think about burnout as, oh, I can't get out the bed or I can't do anything. It's like I have no energy for nothing. But I just want to also say burnout could look like you show up and you put on a happy face when you go to work, when you go into classes, when you go to talk to your chair, when you go to your writing group. Right? I think I said this in the video I put out on Monday. But you go there and you do your check-in and you're real happy and you're like, yeah, y'all, I'm working on this part of the literature review. I'm working on my final chapters. And it sounds good, but and when you go home at night or when the day is over, you're completely done. So you show up and you do your obligations like classes or work or whatnot. You put on your mask that says, I'm good. But when the day ends, when it gets to 8, 9, 10 o'clock, now you're on your phone and you're scrolling until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Now you're not eating dinner. You're not even eating girl dinner. You're probably eating something that's heavy with sweets and fats because it's giving you a dopamine rush. And you probably spend all night being like, why can't I just get myself together? I keep showing up to this writing group, giving the same report over and over. I keep telling people I'm working on these final chapters, but I know I haven't even made the progress that I want to be making. It's like I keep saying I'm going to do the thing, but I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And why not? Am I lazy? Why can't I just push through? You might be there. So if you are there, if this is sounding familiar so far, please put a 1 in the chat because I like for people to talk back to me. Okay. I grew up in Black church. I can't be over here talking to myself. So let me know. Even if you're watching the recording, put 1 in the chat if you are following me, if you are feeling that. Here are 3 things that I'm noticing across students, whether that's in Finish Your Dissertation or just students I've been talking with across the internet. The first thing that they will tell me is right now, their burnout feels like they're stuck. It feels like they have all these ideas. Their brain is going 1,000 miles a minute. It's like I have all these ideas of what I could do or how I could frame these chapters or what the defense is going to be like. Right? You can see graduation so clearly, but when you go to sit down to write or you go to sit down to work, it's like the words just won't come out. You can't find the right way to say it. You can't. It's just no matter what you put on a page, it just doesn't feel like it's going to pass the test of your chair or whatnot. The other part that people have been saying is it's not fair. So the number 2 thing I see is some version of it's not fair. It could be it's not fair that other people have so much support. It's not fair that it seems like this process is so easy for other people. I was talking to a client last week and she was saying it's not fair that those people who don't have kids are but they just have all the free time. They get to just do what they want to do when they want to do it. They don't have to even worry about it. But it's some version of it's not fair. Your chair's not being as helpful. A third thing you might be experiencing is this process is not what I thought. So there may be some mourning of you thought getting to the end. I was just talking to a client not too long ago that they were saying now that they're preparing for their defense, It's not what they thought it was going to be. They thought their parents was going to be there. They thought they would have a different type of relationship with their chair. They thought that like it would feel better than what it feels like to get to this point. And in that is a lot of grief. And so I want to say that if you are someone who's resonating with feeling burnt out, what I want to invite you to think about it as is like burnout is another word for you're grieving. You're grieving the idea of what you thought this process was going to look like. You're grieving who you thought you were as a student, how you thought you were going to show up. Okay, let me make this grounded because I can see somebody being like, girl, what are you talking about? You think what you need to do to push through and make progress is to sit down, force yourself to write for hours and hours and hours and not get up until you are done with the dissertation. And I am telling you that that's the quickest way for you not to make progress. Collectively, we're all going through some version of burnout. I just did an astrology episode, so the energy is there. But what I'm telling you is if you keep trying to force yourself to push through, you may have a negative consequence that's so big that you didn't even intend. That this time isn't about sitting down and working, working, working. That this time, the best way to make the progress you want to make is you have to take care of yourself. And I know that may sound cliche, or I know that you might be saying, I don't have time for that. I have energy for that to take care of myself. I got to get this dissertation done. And I want to ask you, like, is that working for you? Is it working for you to say, I need to push through? Is that working? Because I don't think it is for a lot of people. The first thing that I would tell you to do is to acknowledge where you are, to be honest about where you are, and be honest about what did you say your goal was? What did you say that you were going to do by May, by the end of this year? And how much work did you do to get there? Now, we're doing this not from a place of judging yourself or being harsh on yourself. It is about being very clear of, in January, I said I wanted to be here by May. It is now March 27th. I am here. Why is this happening? Coming from a place of curiosity. Why is this happening? What do I need to get to my goal? Because we still got a whole, right, like you said, by May, we still got, for some of you, you got 2 whole months, depending on, like, if it's not about a final graduation, you still have so much time to get to your goal. But there may be a very strong voice right now that's telling you all the ways why you're not gonna make it, why you don't have what it takes, why you're not smart enough, you're not disciplined enough, you're not consistent enough. That critical voice, if you listen to it long enough, is gonna keep you stuck. That voice is real, that voice is valid, and it doesn't mean that that voice has to be the one that's making decisions. Let me say it again. It's real, it's valid, you're right. It may not be fair. You might be really having a hard time. You might really be stuck in grief right now. It may, like, other people may have more support than you. Like, all of those things could be right. And we don't have to respond from that part of us. But it is important to acknowledge that part of us. Because what I see a lot is either people acknowledge it so much they just keep getting stuck in that story, or they just say, I'm gonna ignore that until the end. No, I'm asking you to acknowledge that, like, yeah, this is hard right now, and I'm still gonna choose to move forward. And this is why it's hard, because I said I was gonna do this, but I need these types of support, or I need these resources. You can't answer that question about the type of support you need or the resources you need if you are so busy and being like, woe is me, this is not fair, it's so hard. Again, let me be clear, how you feel is completely valid. And it might be like you may have all the evidence to prove that you are right. But a question I often ask people, do you want to be right or do you want to be doctor? It isn't fair, and it's still the situation at hand. So what do you need to move forward? The only way to know what you need is to be able to relax yourself enough, quiet the critical voice or lower the volume on the critical voice enough to be like, hey, what do I need? Do I need a writing group? Do I need more information about how I write these chapters? Do I need more sleep? Do I need to eat a different diet right now? Do I need more money to pay my bills? Do I need a different job? Do I need to get out this relationship? Like, what is it that you need that's going to help you to show up? This is not a situation where you say, well, it doesn't matter. I just need to push through. We already established that's not going to work. What do you need? So if you feel comfortable, let me know in the chat what you need. Number 2, then you need to provide yourself with that. You need to find a way to give yourself the support, the care that you need. We want to first start with basic needs. So something we do inside of Finish Your Dissertation is follow the scholar basics, 5 habits to take care of ourselves. Number 1, drink your water. Drink at least 64 ounces of water. Why? Because you're dehydrated. You think that you can't think straight because you didn't read enough. No, you didn't drink enough water. Go drink some water. It helps everything to run very clearly. Number 2, laying down somewhere or trying to sleep for at least 7 hours. Your brain needs to sleep. How are you supposed to create new knowledge if you're not getting any sleep? If your brain can't go through its natural process of cleaning things up and organizing things, no wonder you got so much anxiety wandering around. You need to lay down. You need to go to sleep. Number 3, moving your body for at least 10 minutes. Go outside, walk around, do some stretching, moving the emotions around so that you can fully process them, so that critical voice has somewhere to put its energy. It's going to have energy, but if you go walk or if you work out, it gives it a release. Number 4, journaling for at least 10 minutes. You don't need to do anything fancy. You just take out a sheet of paper and just write down whatever's coming up in your mind right now. Just write it. It's something I do before I write. I just open up a document and I brain dump for like 10 to 20 minutes, and it just helps to clear the brain out so I have capacity to create something new. You are creating as a writer, like you're creating as someone who's writing a dissertation. It's a creation that you need so much energy, so much space in your brain and your body to create. This isn't, you not like, it would be me saying, comparing myself to my parents who were letter carriers for the post office for their entire working life. There wasn't much creating in that job. It's put the mail in order, go to the actual house and put the mail in the mailbox. And they did that day in and day out. So there wasn't much creation that had to happen. So it would be unfair for me to judge how I'm showing up and working to their showing up and working, because they literally just have to show up and organize, right? But over here, we're creating new knowledge, we're doing research, and it's not about that that's bad and this is good. I'm saying it's pulling from 2 different parts of your body and of your brain. There's a part that does the more like routine, habitual, like delivering mail. And then there's the part of the brain that has to create brand new knowledge. If you're not giving yourself what you need, if you're not creating space in your head, how do you have space to create? Okay. And then the last basic is writing a shitty paragraph. And I'm going to come back to this point in a minute, but a shitty paragraph is just 4 sentences that you put together and you called it a paragraph. No, it don't all the way make sense. No, everything is not spelled correctly. No, you don't have citations for everything, but it's a starting point. It's a paragraph that you can edit, that you can revise over time. It gives you a starting place. Our goal in Finish Your Dissertation Institute is to practice those every day. Hear my word there, is to practice those 5 basics every day to take care of yourself. And I'm asking you on March 27th to revisit, have you been practicing the scholar basics? Even if this is just your first time hearing about it, how much of this have you naturally been doing? And what is one thing from the scholar basics you can incorporate or focus on over the next week? Because you don't have to do all of them, but this is about building momentum and taking care of ourselves. Remember, if you are burnt out, this is not a logical thing that you could just tell yourself, get over it and get to work. No, this comes from a structural change. How we change something structurally is we first need to know, what is the situation? What is going on? I ask you to acknowledge without judgment. Then number 2, once you know what's going on and you see what the gaps are, how do you allow yourself to fill in the gaps? Another way of saying that is, how do you allow yourself to take care of yourself and to give yourself what you need? And then number 3, the best thing that you could do right now is quick, easy, fast. The key word is ease. How do you allow this dissertation process in this moment to be easy? You do not get a gold star because you struggled throughout the entire dissertation. Let me say that again for the person who is multitasking at work. What if you allow this process to be easy? You do not get a gold star for saying, oh, I struggled the entire dissertation. You don't, it's like everybody in Greek letter organization. Everybody got the same letters. Y'all can keep arguing about who paper and who not, but everybody got the same letters and the same colors, got the same jackets on. So what's the point of the argument? In the same way with your dissertation, who are you trying to prove yourself to? Who are you trying to prove yourself to? Like, you're gonna go to your chair and be like, I spent all these hours and all these days in front of my computer, but if the end result it still doesn't meet their requirements, then what reward are you getting for struggling, for putting more pressure on yourself? Why do you think that this process requires that? What if the dissertation, what if it's supposed to be the easy part? What if the courses were supposed to be the hard part and the dissertation is supposed to be the easy part? Go with me. Some of y'all gonna be like, nah, girl, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm not feeling what you're saying. But what if that's the case? Like, what if the dissertation is supposed to be the easy part? When I say easy, going back to Scholar Basic number 5, what if the dissertation is you showing up, writing a shitty paragraph every day? What if that's your only job every day is to write a shitty paragraph? And then once you get to like, well, that's a good stopping place, then your job becomes to edit the shitty paragraphs. What if that's all you need to do to get to a finished dissertation? Dr. Lee Johnson, who just successfully defended her dissertation last week, that's what she said she did. I watched her do it. I watched her do it for the proposal, and I watched her do it for the final dissertation. She showed up and she was like, today I'm writing shitty paragraphs. We had a writing retreat in Atlanta last July, and she showed up and she was like, yeah, she's like, my only task is to write 11 shitty paragraphs. And she sat on the couch and she wrote 11 shitty paragraphs about autoethnography and what she found. And then she put that file up for a few months until January, when her chair was, no, probably was like more like November, December. Her chair was like, I need to see a chapter. She was like, oh, let me pull up my shitty paragraphs. And then a day or two, she did some editing, some revisions. She put some citations in and she turned that in. It was a matter of 2.5 days for a whole chapter. That is what happens when you allow the process to be easy. When you stop thinking that you get a gold star or you get points because you did everything 100% the right way and you were disciplined and you were like, I work every day for 10 hours and I put all these words on a page and it's perfect and I got all the citations. That's unrealistic. It's an unrealistic version of what this process looks like. What if it gets to be that you just simply show up, sit down, write some shitty paragraphs, take a break, go sleep, go scroll, go hang out with your friends, be outside, and come back and be like, okay, let me edit this. But you do that for a couple of hours, you put it back down, you go off, you sleep, you eat, you repeat. I am asking, what if this doesn't require you to sit in front of your computer? Because a lot of you are just showing up to writing groups, showing up to writing sessions, and you're just staring at the same page for months. But you're staring at that page and you're rereading the same articles and the same books while telling yourself that you're lazy, that you don't want this enough, you're not working hard enough. And that is not working. You've been doing that for probably years at this point, and it's not working, but yet you keep trying it that way because you believe that's how other people are doing it. Because when other people say, well, I show up and I write every day, you think that means they're showing up and they're producing just golden words on the page and they're just publishing day in and day out. Or you might be watching them from the outside looking in thinking, oh, they just have it so easy. But you have no idea what people are going through. You have no idea what they're going through mentally. You have no idea the price they have to pay to look the part that you think they just got it so easy and breezy. I am saying, what if you stop obsessing about other people? What if you stop talking shit to yourself? What if you just showed up and asked yourself, what do I need? Okay, I need to go to sleep today. I need a nap. I'm going to take a nap. And then after that nap, I'm going to get up and I'm going to write 2 shitty paragraphs. And that's going to be it for today. And that gets to be enough. That gets to be enough. Okay, let me see what y'all have in comments. It doesn't feel fair because the process is taking longer than I thought. And it isn't how I thought it would be. Facts on the grief, but I'm polishing and editing these paragraphs. Yes. So today I thought I was going to go live earlier, but I got caught up recording podcasts about the new moon that's happening on Saturday. I promise I would make this make sense. And part of that podcast, I was talking about that there's like 2 sides of us on each shoulder. There's the side of us that's like, this isn't fair. This is awful. It's like, this never works out for me. And I'm doing everything and nothing is working. It's like a part that's very angry, very righteous, very frustrated. But there's another part of us that's like, but we really want this. We want this to happen. And it could be fun. It could be easy. We can't hear this part all the way because this part is so loud. What if you trust this part more? Because to trust that it gets to be fun and light and airy and easy means that you have to trust yourself. Let me say this a different way. So Chris, since I'm reading your comment, the process is taking longer than you thought, and that is very frustrating, right? And I'm sure all sorts of grief is coming up. Grieving what you thought this process would be, grieving how you thought your committee would support you, grieving your parent not being here, right? Like grieving, like getting to this point and working because you're on sabbatical, right? You're probably reflecting on your job and like, is it what I thought it was? Grieving the decision to even get into a doctoral program, make it this way. You like, I already had tenure. I didn't do all this. But it's grieving how the idea of what we thought becoming a doctor would be, or what you thought becoming a doctor would be, and sitting with that and still making a decision. But I want this. I want this. I still want to go after this. But I'm not going to go after this at the expense of myself. So, Chris, right, we talked about like you being on the beach and you just, I don't know, I'm making this up, sipping Mai Tais. I feel like Mai Tai is a beach drink. Or more realistically, I guess, is allowing yourself to be where you are right now and doing nothing. You're right. I know you to be someone who is like, work, work, work. I will do the work. But being on sabbatical means you don't have the day-to-day work. Your focus right now is your dissertation. But what if I had to quantify it, I would say, like, what if it was okay for you only to spend an hour a day on your dissertation? Like throughout this entire sabbatical, what if you only spent an hour on it? One, but two, you still finish this summer for your proposal, right? You still finish in record time. Like you still are able to graduate in December. What if that was possible for you, even if you're not Chris? I want you to think about whatever your similar timeline is, right? There's some of you who are preparing for your final defense and you're looking like it's March 27 and I don't know if I'm going to make this deadline to get this entire dissertation in to be able to defend it before, the date for graduation comes up. But what if you still only needed to show up for an hour or two or only a few days a week and you still could meet that deadline? I'm asking you right now to put down your urge to like plan and get to the what do I need to do day to day. And I'm asking you to dream with me. I'm asking you to hope with me right now. I'm asking you to access a part of your brain that might be resistant to what I'm saying, but I'm asking you to consider what if what it looks like right now is not the complete picture. What if the more that you take care of yourself, the more that you allow yourself to lay down and rest and have fun with your friends and be outside, what if that is the answer to getting through this process faster? I'm asking you to consider that in your brain of what could that be like? What if that was true? What would that mean for you? What would that mean for this process? So, Chris, you either let me know here or wherever you are, but what if it gets to be that easy? Like, what if sabbatical truly gets to feel more like a full vacation? Now, what might come up as I'm asking Chris and I'm asking other folks that is you might be like, well, that's not what this process is supposed to be. This process is supposed to be hard. Like, then people are going to think I took the easy way out. They're going to think I'm paper. Going back to my Greek letter example, they're going to think I didn't earn this. Why? Whose definition are y'all using is what I'm wondering. Whose definition are you using? Because there's so many people out there who are called doctor and other people wrote their dissertations. AI wrote their dissertation. Like they barely had a dissertation, but they was able to defend it. Like whose definition are y'all using? Who said that in order to earn being a doctor, you had to burn yourself out? You had to do it at the expense of your health and your well-being. Who said that? Why do we think that we only deserve a reward or we only deserve good things if we had to struggle to get it, if we had to, like, it's one thing to work hard, it's another thing to, like, deep deprivation and struggle. Not every goal requires that. What if you just had the wrong idea about what it meant to be doctor? What if for you, hear me, what if for you it gets to be easy because you already had your struggle? Maybe the people you're listening to or you're in community with and y'all, start sharing stories, maybe they had it easier in terms of they didn't have the same struggles as you growing up or the same struggles as you in coursework. And so when they got to the dissertation, it was harder. And I'm asking, what if for you it's the reverse? What if everything leading up to this moment was hard and now you finally reached a point where it gets to be easy? Consider that. You said, like, we can get caught up and start listening. We start sharing stories. Well, this was like this for me. This was like this. And you start thinking you them. You not them. What if this is the easy part for you? Yeah, it may not be fair. Yeah, it may be uncomfortable. It may take some time to get used to it. But what if it gets to be easy? Why are you saying this, Dr. Lacy? Because burnout, you cannot solve it. You cannot heal it by working more. That doesn't even make sense logically. If you're already burnt out, you're already depleted on every level, how are you supposed to do somebody's 100-day writing challenge? Like, how are you supposed to just go hard in the paint every night when you're depleted? The only way to get out of burnout is to acknowledge that it's there, to take care of yourself, and then to do something radically different than what caused you to get into burnout in the first place. What caused you to get into burnout is you constantly thinking you need to work all night and pull all-nighters, is you constantly thinking that if you're not reading something, you're not writing something, then you're not doing this process the right way. What got you here is constantly comparing yourself to others and being like, I don't know as much as them. I don't work as hard as them. And instead of taking a step back and being like, well, I made it this far, so I must be doing something right. I've made it this far into the process. So what if this ain't all on me or even about you? Like, what if this has something to do with other circumstances that are outside of your control? And I know that's, now we get into a dangerous part, but for a lot of you, it's your committee. Your committee has internal politics that's making this confusing. Your chair is life is lifing for them. Let me go on a slight rant about this for a minute. Some of you might be like, it's not fair. Everybody else has like supportive chairs, and I don't have that. My chair doesn't believe in me. They don't respect me. And I want to invite you to consider, what if your chair is just a human who's struggling right now, that is living in this world too, and is also burnt out, has also overworked themselves, has also like is having some imposter syndrome, because your chair is a human who's doing life for the first time as well, who's doing this process with you for the first time. Y'all are learning how to be in relationship with each other. Y'all are learning about what each other, how you approach research, how you approach this process, and like what you value from this process. Building a relationship takes time. I need to say that for some of you, because some of y'all come in and you're like, well, you were supposed to do this for me. You were supposed to read this and give me feedback in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and you ain't do that. Sure, you're right. You are right. If that's what it said, if that's the agreement y'all came up with at the beginning of the semester, or that's what your handbook says in your program, you are right. But going back to a question I asked earlier, do you want to be right or do you want to be doctor? In relationships in general, it often comes down to, do you want to be right or do you want to be in this relationship? I'm about to say somebody marriage today, okay? Yes, you are right. Yes, it's not fair. Yes, they were supposed to give you feedback in 2 weeks. Yes, they said that they would give you some information, that they would be there for you. You are right. But the reality is they didn't give it back to you in 2 weeks. They haven't been showing up for you in the way that you need it. They are having a hard time. Now, we can argue with reality, or we can acknowledge reality and say, considering these very real factual circumstances, how do I want to move forward? Yeah, I am right. They were supposed to do this, but how do I want to move forward? How do you want to move forward? Because me saying your chair as a human is not saying that they are absolved from taking responsibility or accountability for not doing the thing they said they were going to do. I'm not saying you just give them a pass. I'm saying you approach them with some compassion and empathy, because when we can approach people, especially things that we feel are unlovable, undesirable, or just didn't meet the mark in some way, when we can approach it with compassion. Compassion is, I understand. I can see how you got there. Like compassion and empathy is like, I understand how you got there. That makes sense. That makes sense. Not saying you agree, but it makes sense how you got there. When you can approach people with that, when you can approach them with like, okay, I can understand, then you can go into problem solving mode. But the more that you stay in the I'm right, nothing's gonna happen. Y'all gonna be stuck, and you most likely are not gonna work out. That's for your chair relationship. That's for your boo. Okay, that's for your situationship. I don't care what the relationship is. It often comes down to there's something that comes up, and you have to ask yourself, do I want to sit here and defend and argue to be right? Or do I want to work together to come to a solution that can help both of us? So when you're looking at your chair, what do you want? This is why I'm like, manage up, communicate with them every week. Tell them where you are in the process. If you gave them a draft 2 weeks ago and they said they were going to give you feedback, but the feedback hasn't come, follow up with them. Follow up until you get on that last nerve, right? Because again, I'm not saying we don't hold them accountable. I'm not saying that we don't call the thing. I'm saying when we show up with compassion and empathy, we say like, yeah, I get it. You had a hard time. You had COVID. Your kids kept you up late last night. I get it. But like, what are we going to do if I still need feedback? So what are we going to do? Or when can I expect feedback from you? That's what I mean by like showing up with compassion and empathy. It's being willing to say, hey, I'm sending this back up to the top of your inbox. Hey, I'm just checking in. When can I expect feedback? It's being willing to sit with your emotions of being irritated and feeling like I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to do all the following up. But because I'd rather be doctor, I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow up. I'm going to email them. I'll roll up into their office hours. I'll do whatever I have to do to make sure that we both can work together to get to the goal. And that was for somebody because you over there fighting with your chair and it's not going to get you the conclusion you're hoping for. But even if it's not your chair, even if that's with yourself, right? You've been looking at yourself like, girl, get it together. Why are you doing all of that? Why are you being so lazy? If we approach that with compassion and empathy, and we ask the question, why does it make sense right now that I'm having a hard time showing up and writing consistently? Why does it make sense that I got the time blocked off? I go to the writing groups, but I just can't get the words on the page. Why does that make sense? You instantly have to drop into a place of curiosity. You instantly have to stop judging yourself and be like, why does it make sense? Well, it's been a really hard year. There's been a lot of deaths. We don't know what's happening politically. Maybe you're struggling financially. Maybe kids have been sick because we are at that season. Okay, the pollen is out. Right. Especially if you have a bunch of littles, it's like maybe illness has just been running rapid since like 2025 started. Maybe mental health wise, the depression is it's being depression. Okay. Anxiety is on 30. All of those reasons, it makes sense why it's hard to show up and write. It makes sense. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's not that you don't want to do it. It's just there's some external factors that are coming up that is making it more challenging to show up. And I'm asking you to ask yourself, are those things valid? Are those valid reasons that it makes sense why you can't show up and do the thing that you want to do or approach this process in the way you want to approach it? Does it make sense? Or does it not matter? Are you supposed to be superhuman and no matter what's happening in your life or what's happening in the world, it shouldn't impact you, and that you should still be able to show up and write and do what you're supposed to do? I hear my mama's voice in my head, you better show up and do the schoolwork. I said, do you hear a similar voice? Does that make sense? I'm asking you logically, does it make sense to keep holding yourself to those standards? Or if you were talking to a friend, if you were talking to a mentee, you're talking to someone you supervise, or like maybe a younger cousin came to you and was like, oh, it's been so hard. I've been having panic attacks every day. I can't keep anything down. I haven't been sleeping. I'm worried about paying my rent. But oh yeah, and I still need to write my dissertation. If they came to you and saying all of that, you would most likely say to them, that makes sense. I get it, because you know how it feels to feel so frustrated, to feel so depleted, to feel like, what's the point? Nothing I do even works, to be so scared that you're going to lose your place where you're living if you're having financial problems, to constantly be worrying about your basic needs. You know how that feels to be, for that to be weighing on you while you're trying to do something like as big as a dissertation, because you know how that feels. When you're talking to the other person, you're going to show them compassion and empathy and give them grace. I'm asking you to give yourself the same thing. I'm asking, what in what world is it okay for you to give yourself that same level of empathy and grace and compassion that you would give someone else? How we do that is by first acknowledging, this is what's going on for me. Not judging it, not being like, it shouldn't be like this. No, to be like, this shit hard. It's hard right now. These are the ways that it's hard. There's the reasons why it's hard, but it's hard. And because it's hard like this is what I need. So going back to the example, if someone came to you and they were telling you it was hard, you was going to give them compassion, you would ask them, like, how can I help you? Right? That's our natural instinct to be like, how can I help you? They might be like, oh, if you write with me, that works. Or if you could just call me, that would work, or whatever the answer is. But at least you would have a starting point and you would show up, right? Because you care about this person and you want to you want to help this be an easier process for them. You hate to see them struggling in this ways. And so whatever you need to do because you care about them, you're going to do it. I'm just asking you to do that for yourself. I'm asking you to see yourself as deserving of that same level of support. Sitting down with yourself and being like, tell me what's going on, which is why one of the basics is to journal. What is going on? What do you need right now? What do you need? What would help right now? And yeah, I'm sure money would help right now. I'm sure a finished dissertation would help right now. I'm sure an email from your chair telling you to schedule your defense would help right now. What else would help right now? What can you have in the next 5 or 10 minutes that would help? Is it a hug? Is it someone to remind you and tell you that you're doing a good job? Is it someone that you could just word vomit to and they can be a sounding board? Is it a few days off where you do nothing? Is it reading your favorite book? Is it crying in the bathroom? What is it, sex? Like, what is it? What do you need right now? And not judging yourself for what you need. And then once you have a list, it doesn't mean that you go get those things, but you do have the option. You can say, like, okay, now that I have a list, what are these things? What of these things do I have access to? So is there someone around to give you a hug? Is there someone around who would listen to you or sit with you while you're writing? Do you belong to a community like the Finish Your Dissertation Institute where you can go to a Write With Us session? Because there's one tonight. Is there something around? Okay, is there somebody around that you can have sex with? I don't know why I'm talking about sex. Listen, I'm here. It's a basic need. But my point is, can you give yourself what you need? Are you allowed to have what you need? Because when you do that, you know what's going to happen? You're going to start to feel better. This is where people start cutting off on me. They're like, I want to hear it, but this is where people miss. When you start giving yourself what you need, you start feeling better. You start feeling lighter. You start being like, oh, maybe I could actually do this. I feel so good. I have so much energy again. I'm sleeping again. Maybe I could write a little bit more today. Maybe I have enough courage to go like talk to my chair again. You start bit by bit building up the energy and the momentum will take off. And then you will look up and before you know it, you're a whole doctor. I talk so much about emotions because you know what to do. I'm not talking to y'all. I'm not talking to a bunch of people who don't know what to do. Y'all are very smart. You have studied this process. You didn't ask 50, 11 people how you get to be a doctor. How do you get to the other side of this process? You know what to do. You don't know how to do it. You don't know how to get yourself to do it. You hear what I'm saying? You know what to do. You want to do it. That's not the issue. You want to, and you know what to do, but you may not know how to do it. And how isn't simple, isn't always like here's the 1 2 3 steps of it all. How is also like, no, how do I get the energy to do it? How do I get the motivation to do it? How do I get the drive to do it? How do I get the care to do it? Because some of you just don't care anymore. Because that's where I was at. I was like, I don't care about this doctor thing no more. But I'm gonna finish it because I didn't came too far to not leave here with something. And then what Denzel said, I'm leaving with something. That was my energy in 2017. I'm leaving here with something. Y'all didn't got on my last nerves. Okay. I got so much trauma from this traumatic experience. I'm leaving with something. I'm leaving with a title and a degree. Something I said in the video for Monday, if you haven't watched that video, I think it's titled, Are You Lazy, Unqualified, or Burnt Out? I was listening and watching it this morning and giggling. But one of the things I said in that video was at that point in my dissertation process, I said my why wasn't strong enough to be creative. That's a bar. My why wasn't strong enough to be creative. How does that apply to you? Because some of y'all are trying to do the perfect idea doctoral student schedule. You're trying to be all fancy with what you're going to do in your dissertation. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do this method nobody ever heard of. But your why isn't strong enough for you to do all of that. It sounds good. It looks good on paper, too. It's a sexy dissertation. But do you have enough energy to do it? Do you have enough care, motivation to do it? It might look good. It may win you an award. But you know what also might win you Dissertation of the Year award? You doing a very cute phenomenology and doing like 12 interviews and calling it a day, letting it be easy. Back to letting it be easy. Yeah, you could do, a survey and interviews and focus groups and then a documented knowledge. You could do all of that. Or you could let it be easy. You could just let it be cute. We're going to do these interviews and we're going to leave. And we're going to get our piece of paper because we came here for something. Going back to why do you think this process needs to be like, you need to be revolutionary, like you need to do something nobody has ever seen before. It's a dissertation. It's an assignment. It's not your life's work. Because if your life stops here, if you reach the peak of your career as a doc student, what's the rest of this for? What are you going to do? If your best work ever is going to be your dissertation, then what happens the rest of the time? You still got time left. You got to stop researching and writing. You're never going to produce another thing. Could the dissertation just be an assignment that you check off the box? Because it is an assignment, y'all. You check off the box and you move on. I did it. Give me my degree. Your why isn't strong enough to be creative. You have a why. You want to get done, especially if you are at the end of the dissertation, like you are working on your finals chapters. Hey, stop trying to be cute. Put the words on a page and turn them in and get the feedback because you're about to run out of energy completely. I have seen people get to the end, get to the discussion chapter and completely burn out and not finish. And I know you're saying, can't be me. Couldn't be me. There's no way I'm going to get to the end and I'm not going to want to finish this. And I can't tell you the number of conversations I've had over the past few weeks of people being like, oh, I see. Because your brain has already done the math. We're done. We wrote the dissertation. Why go through the trouble of going back through edits and going to a defense? Why do that? I don't want to do that. You think that you couldn't be a person who would get to the end of the dissertation and still decide that you don't want to graduate. That's what you think until you're there. Until you're sitting there trying to write chapter 5 for the third time and you're completely burnt out. Yet you still got to do job search and go on interviews and you got to, coordinate graduation parties and everybody's asking you, so what's my plane ticket? What's the airport again? And what's the defense? You think you wouldn't get there and be burnt out. But I'm telling you, as somebody who has helped hundreds of students, somebody's been doing this for 8 years. Oh, you can very much get to the end and be like, I don't want this. Doctor don't even mean that much to me no more. Because what they don't tell you is at the end of the process, you take being a doctor off the pedestal. It is no longer the bright, shiny thing. Like you no longer are seeing it through rose-colored glasses. And you're sitting there and being like, now who didn't trick me to doing this? Because I don't want to do this anymore. That's how you know you're ready. But it's also a very critical part. How do you let it be easy? How do you, if I say that another way in terms of how you let it be easy, essentially I'm asking you, how do you allow yourself to trust what you know, trust the work that you've already been putting in the years that you've been in the program, trust your chair is on the same side as you and wants you to win, trust that your committee wants you to win and they're not out to have a got you moment, to trust that everything that you have done up to this moment is more than enough for you to get to graduation with ease. I'm saying, what if the dissertation gets to be easy because you already put in, you already struggled, you already sacrificed? What if the reason why you feel this burnt out right now is because you want to allow it to be easy? Because it's scary. It is scary to let something to be easy. Here's an example of letting it be easy. You show up every day, you write a shitty paragraph, and you say that's enough. Or you say, I'm a humor Dr. Lacy, and I'm only gonna work 10 hours this week. And I'm gonna trust that it's gonna be enough. I'm only going to focus on this one paragraph and making it good. And I'm only going to give myself 2 hours to do it. And I'm going to trust that it's enough. Yeah, I'm going to turn in this document, even though I don't think it's ready to go, but it's about 60, 70% there. And I'm going to trust that my chair is going to show up and give me feedback. That's what I mean. What if you allow this process to be easy? What if you allow yourself to trust yourself? What difference would that make? You would have more time to lay down. You have more time to enjoy being outside because it's warming up, y'all. It's warming up. And Cowboy Carter is starting. You want to be outside. Okay, maybe you go to the Kendrick concert. Either way, there's going to be a lot of things coming up. Do you want to keep doing what you're doing, even though it's not working and you're burnt out? Or would you rather try a different way? I'm asking you to let it be easy. Now, to let it be easy, I will say you do need some support. You do need some structure, which is part of the reason why we start this off with acknowledgement. For other folks, I'm asking you to please go talk to your chair. Okay. Talk to your chair at least once a week. You don't have to meet with them face to face, but I am asking you to send them an email that says, hey, this is what's going on with me. Yep, I'm still working on the same section. I really could use your encouragement or your words of advice for how I could move out of this stuck point. Start asking your chair for tangible help, like detailed help. Stop just saying like, I don't know what to do. I just need help. Or could you look over this? Or can you tell? No, I'm at this part and every time I go to write, I feel this way. How do you handle that, chair? Every time I go to write, everything feels like it's not good enough or I can't find the right words. How do you deal with that, chair? And let your chair talk to you. You say, hey, chair, I have a lot of personal things going on. The baby was sick all night. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Do you have any things or encouragement or anything that you could say to me? Ask your chair for help. If you don't have that relationship, if you don't have that relationship with your chair, find you a community, form a writing group with your friends, or come on over to finish your dissertation. Join us this weekend for the 10 pages in 2 days write a retreat. I'm going to show you how to write, like literally how, step by step, because most likely the process you're using is you working harder and not smarter. But I'm going to show you how, and then we're going to have support there. You're going to have accountability of people being like, so what are you going to do? Let me help you. Or you need some words of encouragement, I will give you encouragement. The ahas that happen during this retreat, because we do it every month, the ahas, the tears of relief, the hope that people leave feeling so hopeful. They come in feeling heavy and burnt out like you probably feel right now, and they leave feeling so hopeful, so on top of it. I got a plan. I know what to do. I'm asking you to join us this Saturday and this Sunday. If you listen to the recording, we try to do this the fourth weekend every month. So you need to come to qualscholars.com and look for the latest schedule. Okay. Y'all heard my Google go off, so I do have a coaching call coming up. But are there any questions? Kristen, you say you need to register for tonight's session for your interview protocol or for something else. Are you still working on your interview protocol? Yeah, you still have a life to live after this. Absolutely. This dissertation was meant to be an assignment, y'all. It's not meant to be the thing that you just like sacrifice everything for. Here's the thing. If nothing else I said so far is working, here's what I want to offer you. Your institution, let me move this mic. Your institution does not deserve the best of you. Let me say it again for the person in the back who's trying to argue with me. Your dissertation, or your institution does not deserve the best of you. Your dissertation is your intellectual property that the institution owns. Your dissertation is valuable, is intellectual property. Your institution does not deserve the best of you. You deserve the best of you. I'm asking you to save your good ideas for yourself. I'm asking you to allow this dissertation to be easy, to be simple, and you show up and put words on a page and meet their requirements, do solid work, but where you pour everything you have that for you, that you own. That's gonna catch somebody else later on, but okay. I feel you, Chris. This is for sure taking me longer than I thought, but one foot is in front of the other, and I'm leaning heavy on that. I mean, you wrote a proposal in 3 weeks. What is that part of you, Kristen, is saying this is taking too long? What does it say to that? That you did that. You're about to defend. And the only reason why is you're not going to defend until the end of next month is because of scheduling conflict, not because of you. What does that part say to that? What do you need to take care of yourself as you prepare for your proposal defense? And what is it, a month? What do you need in this waiting period? What do you need to hear? What do you need to tell yourself to say, just because I thought I would be here sooner doesn't mean I still can't get to graduation when I want to? We could talk. We could talk more this weekend. Okay, your interview protocol. I had a great application due today and another fair. So I'm eating and resting, and I'll go get to work during the call today. Okay. Yes. Overall, y'all, I encourage you to let this be easy. If you need help, if you need support, join us and finish your dissertation. A great way to get started, though, is to join us for the 10 pages in 2 days writing retreat. It is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, March 29th, March 30th, from 12 to 4 Eastern. I am going to show you a complete process for how you can write 10 pages in 10 hours or less that your chair would love and be proud of, and how you can get yourself to do what you need to do even when you're feeling burnt out. You can put a 10 in a chat, like 10 in a chat, and my mini chat will send you a link for you to sign up, or you can find a current finish your dissertation student and they can pass on the link because they can bring a friend. So whichever one of those options fit with you, please do that. I am going to go to this coaching call and say thank you for your time and your attention. Let me know a takeaway that you have from today's conversation so that people who are watching a recording can realize, like, oh, you don't want to miss this. You want to hear it. So please do that. Thank y'all. I will see y'all later. Bye, y'all.